Yes, it is. So good morning and welcome to TCEA's 2021 Elementary Technology Conference. My name is Allison Robbins and I am with TCEA. I'm really excited to be here with you guys. With this being virtual, I've actually gotten to attend some classes, so it's really been fun. So I will be your moderator for this presentation. Our presenters will be Bree Yoakum and Chrissy Weekly from Skillstruck. So before we get started, I want to alert you to a few items which will help you navigate the platform as well as interact in discussions. First, we'd like to make a disclaimer about intellectual property we have provided to you. All documents, videos, and opinions are the property of TCEA's presenters with all rights reserved. TCEA does not permit you to broadcast, record, refurbish, or reuse for any purpose. Be sure to participate in the interactive features provided within the ETC 21 platform. View the chat below window to interact, react, and contribute to the strategies, tools, and ideas shared with you today. You may also post your questions throughout the presentation as we will host a Q&A, and click the questions toggled next to the chat. So there's the chat and the questions over here. So there's a Q&A and there's a chat. If you try to keep them separated, it makes it a little easier to get to the questions. If you have any questions, you can also upvote questions from others to go ahead and get them put to the top. Finally, live polling is provided for selected sessions. In some areas, we encourage you to use the hashtag TCEA and hashtag ETC21 for all social media platforms. If you need help with technical issues, do not hesitate to reach us. You may select the help desk icon on the left menu or visit tcea.org/contact. Okay, well, Chrissy and Bree, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Allison. We're excited to be here. Like Allison said, all the questions, we have dropped a playground link into the chat. Jump on and fill that out. We want you to follow along today. We are going to be teaching coding and we want you to be able to do it with us so you can see what your students would be learning and how they learn to build a website with HTML. It's going to be a ton of fun, but we need you just to get on that playground and to fill out that information. And then any questions you have during today's teaching with Bree, drop them in there. We will be monitoring the chat to help you answer any questions where you get stuck in your code. So I'm the Area Partnership Manager. If you like what you see today, please feel free to reach out and chat to me. I'm part of the conference. I'll also be in the networking area. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those. So I'm going to turn over the time now to Bree, and she's going to teach us our HTML coding workshop. Thanks so much, you guys, for attending.
All right. Hey, everyone. I'm excited to be here today. Like Chrissy said, we are going to be working with that playground link. So in the chat, go ahead and click that. Once you do, it's going to ask you to fill out your name, your email, and then once you submit, then you're going to have this screen pop up on your computer. So I'll give you guys 10 seconds to get to the same spot that I'm in. All right, so once we're here, go ahead and click that blue Let's Go button. And before we get started, I'm going to walk you through really briefly what the platform looks like so that we all are on the same page here. So the first thing is we have a textbook, and this textbook is going to be walking us through some information. This is just an additional resource for you. We won't be spending a lot of time in the textbook today because I'm going to be doing things alongside. We also have a checkpoint that we'll use later, some challenges and puzzles. But before we get started, I am really excited to be here with you guys today. I myself was a teacher for a few years, and I'm really passionate about teaching computer science, starting with our young kiddos. So let's go ahead and get started. So when you think of baking cookies, there are certain steps you follow, right? You buy the ingredients, you mix the ingredients, you put them on a baking sheet, throw them in the oven, and then you get to eat them. Now, that is called an algorithm in computer science. Algorithms, we often have heard that term maybe in math, but we also have that in computer programming. And algorithms are the instructions. So those instructions, those steps that I'm following to bake cookies is my algorithm. Now, if I said, okay, I want you to bake cookies in this order. I want you to bake the cookies, then go buy the ingredients and then eat them and then mix the ingredients. You're going to end up with a huge mess, right? And that's because even though we have an algorithm, we have all the steps, they're not in the right sequence or order. Algorithms are the instructions, sequences are the order. And you got to make sure that you have both, they work hand in hand. So the way we teach this first basic concept to our students is we do it through something we have on the platform called night puzzles. So what I'd like you guys to do is jump to this fourth section on the left here that says puzzles. And again, if any questions pop up throughout, please feel free to throw them in your chat. We have some SkillStruct members that are on the call ready to answer any questions you may have. All right, so let's jump into this first puzzle, algorithms puzzle number 1. And the whole goal of our puzzle is to get our knight to the red carpet. So this first puzzle, we're just going to get acquainted with it. And then if I'm going too slow, feel free to jump ahead. We have some challenge puzzles if you feel like you're ready for more of a challenge. But the way this works is that our knight puzzle is going to be moved using these blocks. And what we need to do is think, okay, how do I move my knight if I was in his shoes? The directions are done from the knight's point of view. You know, when we're working with students, this is sometimes a new concept for them, but we've always noticed that they pick this up pretty quickly. So from the knight's shoes, I'm going to need to turn left and then move forward once and twice. So I'm going to run this just so you guys can see what it looks like. Obviously, it didn't work all the way because I don't have my full algorithm built out. I don't have all the steps I need to get him there. But if you would like, go ahead, explore this, see what directions you can drag into your code editor to get your knight to the red carpet. So once I'm in the square, I'm going to need to turn right and then move forward. Once you think you have your algorithm built out, once you think you have all the steps that you need, click run. And it'll let you know if it works or not. You can watch your knight move and follow the algorithm. Cool, and it works, right? So we use our knight puzzles to teach a lot of the basic computer programming concepts. And so let's spend 2 minutes exploring these algorithm puzzles. If you want to try a new puzzle, feel free to go back. We have 5 basic puzzles. We have a challenge puzzle for those that you know, want a little bit more to try out, but I'm going to jump to the second puzzle here. And I'm going to show you guys, if you're interested in a quick tip, feel free to follow along. Again, these are from the knight's perspective. It's from the knight's point of view. So if I'm sitting where the knight is, right now, from my perspective, it looks like he needs to go to the right. But from the knight's shoes, he needs to actually turn left. Imagine you're standing where the knight is standing. So if I'm the knight, I need to turn left and then move forward. And then once you do so, turn right. And you're going to notice that the next steps are going to be to move forward 3 times. So right now, the knight is going, instead of pulling 3 move forward blocks into my code editor, something you can do is you can use this repeat 10 times block. Now we call this a loop in programming. And when you think of a loop, you probably think of like a roller coaster, right? Loops are what you go through over and over again. And it's really similar in computer science. Loops repeat your instructions over and over again as many times as you want. So right now, I need to move forward 3 times. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull my directions into my loop. So right now I want my move forward instructions to repeat. And I don't want it to repeat 10 times, right? That's too much. I want it to repeat 3 times. So I'm going to fill in a 3 right here in my loop block. And sorry if I'm going too fast, guys. I'll slow it down a little bit. All right, now if I were to run this, you can see that instead of pulling 3 move forward blocks, my loop is reading my instructions. So right now, we are moving forward 3 times using that loop. All right, so I'll give you a couple seconds to kind of explore this. And then I'll show you something if you're interested. Okay. Now for elementary kids, the block coding is really helpful, right? A lot of students can participate in the block coding. It sets a level where all students can join in. For your students that maybe need more of a challenge, something that we offer is that up here in the right corner, you're going to see 3 little lines. Now, if I click these 3 lines, you're going to notice that it switches to text coding. You can see that typed out right here instead of using the blocks. So if your students really like the block coding, they are welcome to do this as much as they want. If you have students that you think like the challenge or you want to challenge a few students a little more, by clicking this button right here, you can type your code out. So instead of saying turn left with your block, you can type it out, turn left. So by doing these instructions, it offers a little more of a challenge to your students. They enjoy like the typing of it. It's a good challenge for those students. And if they find that this is too difficult, it's easy to just switch right back to the blocks. All right, so if you want to try that, feel free to. You're going to notice that if you are typing, if I want to turn left, that it's actually, there's going to not be any spaces in between it. So I have turn left, parentheses, parentheses, semicolon. The reason there's no spaces is because in order to code these puzzles, we use something called JavaScript, which is a programming language. So it's really cool. Normally, this is a language that students don't learn until upper grades, but this is introducing it to these students at these young ages. And in JavaScript, if you're going to be telling the computer directions, a lot of times you're not using spaces. So that's a cool introductory way to teach this to your students. But if I turn left and move forward, I can run that and see what it looks like. So feel free, take a few minutes to explore this. There are different puzzles you can do. So explore the algorithms, and then in just a couple seconds, we're going to jump into some other puzzles to show you how we can teach different concepts using this night. Okay, so again, we can hop back into these algorithm puzzles later. We'll probably have some time at the end for you to explore some more. But for now, what I want to do is hop into the event puzzles that you see down below here. So when you think of an event, you probably think of like a carnival, or maybe you think of the movie theaters, a party, right? Events are where things happen. And in computer programming, it's really similar. It's a good way to think of it as well. If I click the save button on a computer, I expect the computer to remember that by saving my work, right? If I click this button, then I expect something to happen. That's an example of an event in computer programming. So we're going to practice this using our events puzzle number 1. And you're going to notice that it looks kind of similar, but there's some new additions to this puzzle. You're going to see the spike barrier, and there's a new lever that's been introduced here. And it's the same thing as before. You're going to use these blocks, or you can type your code by clicking these 3 lines to navigate your knight to the red carpet. Now, the event in this puzzle is if we are going to pull this lever, I want you to see what happens. So feel free to explore that and see what event happens when you pull the lever. So I'm going to turn left, move forward twice, and pull the lever. All right, so we noticed when the lever was pulled, the spike barrier went down, right? And that's going to help us be able to cross to get to the red carpet. So go ahead, use these blocks. Feel free to type it using the same commands over here if you would like. But try and get your knight to the red carpet on this puzzle. Remember, you can use loops. So by me pulling this block over, I'm telling it, okay, I want my move forward instructions to repeat 2 times. And again, remember, it's from the knight's perspective. So you're thinking, if you were in his shoes, what directions would you be moving? All right, cool. So feel free to explore that. We have, again, 5 puzzles and a challenge puzzle for those that want a little more of an advanced practice. So I'm going to give you guys like 1 minute to explore these event puzzles, and then we're going to jump into something new. We'll probably have some time at the end to do more of these. If you're loving it, that's awesome. But we will have time at the end most likely. You know, and as you guys are doing this, I'll just share a little bit about computer science in elementary school. So it's really awesome to be able to introduce it to these students for a lot of reasons. Computer science is becoming, you know, a lot more necessary in this tech world that we live in. And for 2 things, there's 2 reasons why we want to introduce it to students. First of all, we really want to provide these opportunities to them so that if they are interested in this field, they have a bit of a head start going into it. But second, if they don't become coders, which that's okay, it's providing them with some really foundational skills to help them in the future. So problem solving, critical thinking, creativity, it's helping them establish these skills even more. Okay, so I'm going to have us come back and we are going to learn a new concept. So finish up the puzzle that you're working on, and we are going to go over to our textbook again. And normally the way the textbook works is it's normally 1 topic per lesson. Because I wanted to teach you guys a few things on here, I did combine a couple of lessons into this textbook. So it's normally 1 lesson at a time, but I wanted to kind of show you guys what this looked like. So what I'm going to be teaching you guys is a little bit of HTML. Now, HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. And it's what computer programmers use to build websites. So anytime you go on a website, Google, YouTube, you know, the playground that you're on right now, part of that was built using HTML. And what I'm going to teach you first today is how to make a header. Now, this title that you see right here that says headers, this is an example of a header in HTML. It's like the titles that you see on your website. So first thing I want to do is show you how to do this with blocks, and then I'm going to show you how to do it with the text. So let's click into the checkpoint, the second section on the left. And if you don't have a lot of room on your screen, that's okay. You can click this left arrow that you see at the bottom next to the little cat avatar, and that's going to give you a little bit more space to work with. Now, by clicking this word that says blocks, it's going to give you two options here, a header block and a text block. If we were learning future concepts, like we'll be learning paragraphs, how to add images, text color, there's blocks that will coordinate with those topics as well. So for your students, again, that really benefit from using the blocks, we have block coding available for HTML, which is really awesome. But I'm going to show you guys what this looks like, and then we are going to be spending most of our time doing the text coding, which is, again, a little more of a challenge, but it's something that, you know, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, we've seen all these students do the text-based coding before. So we're going to spend some time doing that mostly, but let me show you what the headers look like using the blocks. So if I wanted to pull my header block into my code editor, you want to pull the text block and put it right in between there. So I'm going to type hello world in my text block. And you're going to notice two things here. First, it's going to show you what it looks like on the website. If you were building a website and you built this header block, this is exactly what it would look like. And then the second thing you'll see is down here, this is what it looks like with text coding. So even if your students are more comfortable with blocks, they're still having that access to what it would look like if it was being typed, which helps them build those connections. So then if I wanted to do another header, I can just pull a second header block down, put my text in, and you can type whatever it is you want. I could say, how are you? And I'm sure some of you might already be exploring this. You're going to notice a drop-down arrow next to the number 1. And by clicking on that, there's going to be 6 numbers that pop up. I want you guys to explore, see what happens when you switch these numbers. If you change it to a 3, what happens? If you change it to a 5 or a 6, what do you notice when you change the number on the header block? You're probably noticing that the font gets smaller, right? And the reason it only goes to 6 is because there's only 6 header levels. If you're wondering, what does a header level 20 look like? That would be interesting to see, but it doesn't exist. That only goes up to 6 because that's pretty small as is. So 1 creates the biggest font size, 6 creates the smallest font size. So you can play around with this a little bit and you can add more headers if you would like. Again, it's showing you what it would look like on your website if you're doing it with blocks. But again, I want to spend some time doing it in text coding with you guys. So we are going to switch over to the text-based coding. So you might want to follow along as I do this so you know where to go. You're going to want to click on that little cat avatar that you see at the bottom left corner. That's going to take you to your profile. And where it says coding preference, I want you to click on that and click text-based. And then once you click save, that's going to change those settings on our account. And then go ahead and click on the graduation cap that you see on the left here. Okay, so we're going to head back to our checkpoint. And you're going to notice the format's a little different. That's because, again, we don't have our blocks here. We just have the type-based coding, and that's going to help us get to this point. Okay, so I'm going to show you what a header looks like typed. And then if I'm going too slow, if you guys already have experience with this, feel free to jump ahead. We have some challenges that you can go to practice. You can continue doing your puzzles if you want. But this is what a header would look like if we were to type it. So I'm going to show you first, and then I'm going to explain it. Okay, so it looks just the same as it did before, right? When we were using our blocks. But this here is called a header tag. Now it's different than the tag on your t-shirt. It's different than a price tag. It's basically a tag is what we use to create lines on your website. So the first thing you're going to notice in this tag is what I've highlighted here. Let me zoom in. There we go. Hopefully you guys can see that a little bit better. So this highlighted portion is called an opening tag. This is like the capital letter on your sentence. It's telling the computer that this is the start of our tag. Just like capital letters say it's the start of our sentence. The way we do that opening tag is you're going to want to do an open angle bracket. That is next to the M on your keyboard. And then we're going to write H1 for header 1. And then you're going to want to close it with an angle bracket. And then after we do our opening tag, we want to write our closing tag. The closing tag looks really similar to the opening tag, but there is one slight difference. You're going to notice we have a forward slash here. Now, the forward slash is like the period on your sentence. It tells the computer this is the end of our tag. So good practice to always do is as soon as you write your opening tag, write your closing tag so that you don't forget to do it after writing in whatever it is you would like. So I'm going to write the closing tag. I'm going to do an open angle bracket, forward slash, H1 for header 1, and then a closing bracket. So again, looks really similar to the opening tag, but it has that forward slash. Okay, now inside these tags, you can write whatever you want, and this is what is going to show on your website. So I could write coding rocks, or I could write whatever it is you would like, and that's going to show up on the right side. Now, before we noticed, okay, well, when I change the levels, it changes the font size. And you can do the same thing here. If I wanted like it to be smaller, if I wanted it to kind of look like a subtitle, I could do like H3, and that's going to make it smaller, except you're going to notice that there's some red that's showing up in our code. And this is telling us that there's a bug in our code, and a bug is just computer science talk for there's a mistake somewhere. So this just means that the number in your opening tag needs to match the number in your closing tag. So because I want this to be a H3, the closing tag needs to be H3 as well. And then you notice the red disappears, and we are good to go. So something to take note of is no matter how many spaces I put in between my H1 and H3, if I were to do a ton of spaces, it doesn't change on the website that I have here on the right side. This is just to help us organize our code. What's going to show up on this side, as far as spacing goes, doesn't always necessarily match what's going on here. So let's do a couple more lines of code. I'm going to do a couple more H3 tags to make some subheadings. Let's say I could do, I could say, how are you? You could say all kinds of things using this. So practice your header tags, play around with the numbers. You could change it to an H2 tag if you want. You could change these to an H5 tag to see what that all looks like. Play around with it, have some fun. But what we're going to be doing here is we are going to actually be building a very basic website today, and we are going to start with our headers. So you guys can choose whatever topic you want to. For me, I love the Olympics, and I'm super excited that they're happening this summer. So I'm going to build a website about the Olympics. So I'm going to get rid of those codes that I just did to kind of make some room for this website we're going to do. But I want to start with my header tag. I'm going to do an H1 just for my title to make it nice and big. And I'm going to write the Olympics. Again, you can do whatever topic you want to do it on. Feel free to get creative there. And with the Olympics, the Summer Olympics are my favorite. They have, my opinion is that the best sports happen in the Summer Olympics. But I'm biased because I was a swimmer, I played water polo. So for my subtitles, my smaller headers that I'm going to do a size H3. And remember that closing tag needs to have the forward slash. And I'm going to do, let's see, we'll do swimming. I'm going to do 3 subheadings here. I'm going to do water polo. And the last one I'm going to do is gymnastics. Okay, so you can play around with the sizes. I stuck with an H1 for the title to make it nice and big. And then I did H3 tags for my subtitles that they're a little smaller. They look nice, but you can kind of tell they're subheadings. So once you've done this, I'm going to teach you guys how to do a paragraph tag. All right, now paragraph tags are the tags that you use to write paragraphs. They're pretty simple. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to go and enter underneath my swimming header tag. Again, you can enter as much as you want. It just helps you keep your code clean and organized. So for the paragraph tag, it's going to look kind of similar. We're going to do our open angle bracket. And then you're going to do a P for paragraph. And then just like before, you want to do a closing tag. So it's going to look just like the opening tag with that /. And with the paragraph, what I want you guys to write is any sentence about the subheading you have. So about swimming, maybe I'll say how Michael Phelps won 8 gold medals at the 2008 Beijing Olympics. Okay, and then feel free to add any paragraph tags. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you can see what this fully looks like. And then go ahead and add a paragraph tag under each of your subheadings. So in 2016, the USA women's water polo team won the finals. Fun fact there. Then I'll add one more to my gymnastics subheading. I think it was in the 2012 and 2016 Olympics that they won. All right, so once you guys add your paragraph tags, it's going to look something like this on the right side, right? We are starting to see, okay, I kind of see the organization of a basic website here. But websites have color, right? We like seeing color on websites. It keeps us engaged. We can see the visuals. So I'm going to teach you guys kind of how to add some text color. And the way we do that is by changing the style of our tags. So I'm going to zoom in pretty close here so you guys can see exactly how to do this. So I'm going to change the color of my title, the Olympics, and in between the 1 and the angle bracket, I am going to put a space, and this is where we're going to be working to change the text color. So again, we want to change the style. So you're going to write style. This is the property or the attribute that we want to change. And the property that I want to change is the color. Now, let's say I wanted to make the color red. Okay, you're going to do style equals quotation, quotation, and then you're going to write color, semicolon, with whatever color it is that you want. And then you can see that that changed the color on my Olympics. If I wanted it to be green, I could change the color to green. If I wanted it to be blue, I could change it there. Play around with the colors. If I wanted it to be turquoise, I think that's how you spell it. Yeah, you can see what colors the computer reads. Obviously, it's not going to read like candy cane red, but it reads a lot of colors, so play around with it. I'm going to keep it on red for this one. And you can change the colors of your paragraph tag. You can change the colors of your other header tags. You just need to use the same like text styling inside your opening tag. So again, to change the color of my swimming header, I'm going to go between the 3 and the angle bracket here. I'm going to write style equals quotation, quotation, color, semicolon, and then let's do blue. And for aesthetic's sake, I'm going to do that on all of my like subheadings. All right. So I'll give you guys a couple seconds there. Again, remember, if you have any questions, if you have anything in your code that's not working, we have our team members in the chat that are willing to help you. So feel free to plug any questions you have in there. Okay, if you wanted to change the color of your paragraphs, you are more than welcome to do that. It's the same thing. You would do the style attribute equals color. I'm going to keep mine black, but feel free to change the color if you would like. All right, now I want to teach you guys something else we can add to our website is pictures, right? When you're looking on a website, when you're looking at a menu, you always like to see the pictures to see what things look like. So let's learn how to add an image to our website. So you can put it wherever you want. I'm going to add an image underneath my title here. And we're going to do that by doing an image tag. Oh, I see that we have a question about if we can copy and paste. Yeah, actually, that does work. You can do that. So if I wanted to like copy this here and turn my paragraph blue, if you didn't want to type it again, you can just go inside the opening tag and you can paste it so that you don't need to rewrite it over and over. That is possible to do. Good question. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys how to add an image. Let me zoom in so that you can see. All right, so the way we add an image is by doing an image tag. So open angle bracket, and then it's going to be IMG, closing angle bracket. Now, image tags are special. They actually don't have closing tags, so you don't need to worry about a closing tag here. And with images, we need to tell the computer what source to pull the image from. So up here, how we had like the style attribute, we need to have a source attribute. So it's going to be src for source equals quotation, quotation. And we, of course, want to abide by copyright laws. So there are some awesome websites out there that offer free photos for us to use. So I'm going to go to a website called pixabay.com. So if our team members can put that in the chat so participants can see how to spell that, pixabay.com. This website offers a lot of free images that we can use. So obviously I'm doing my website on the Olympics, so I want to find a picture of the Olympics. So in the search bar, I'll type in what I'm searching for, and it pops up with all these photos that you can use. I'm probably just going to do this basic Olympic logo. It's so classic that I'm going to go with that. And then there's something that I want you guys to make sure you're paying attention to here. This can be tricky to remember. So to get the image address, you want to right click on your picture. And we're so used to writing or clicking on copy image. But on this one, you want to click copy image address. It's going to be right underneath copy image. So click copy image address. So again, just to recap, find the photo you want, right click, copy image address. And then you're going to go back to your code and paste that link in between your quotation marks. And you can see that the image pops up. We do have a slight issue. It is massive. So we want to figure out how to change that. And that's an easy fix. I'm going to be working right here inside the tag still. So where that ending quotation mark is in the closing bracket, I'm going to be right in between those. And we're going to write width. So we're going to tell the computer we want to change the width of the picture. Width equals quotation, quotation. And the computer measures in pixels. So we need to tell the computer how many pixels we want the picture to be. Feel free to play around with this. I'm going to say, what if I did like 100 pixels? So PX for short. You can see it pops up right there. It shrinks the size to 100 pixels. But play around with it. You can see what 300 pixels looks like. You can see what 30 pixels looks like. Find a size that you think looks good on your web page. And once you've done this, feel free, add a picture to your subheadings. So I'll find a picture of like swimming or water polo or gymnastics. Try and add one more image to your website. I'm gonna try and find one of gymnastics. Again, right click, copy image address. And I want to put this under my gymnastics heading. So I'm going to do my image tag, IMG. I'm going to write source equals quotation, quotation, filling in that link in between. But again, it's huge, so I'm going to change the width equals quotation, quotation. I'm going to change it to 200 pixels and see how that looks. Cool. All right, so yeah, practice adding images to your web page. I'm going to zoom out so you can see this a little better. But you guys are building the basics of a website, which is super cool. I'm going to show you guys one more thing on here, and then I want to leave like 10 minutes at the end for any questions that you might have. Okay, so one more thing that I want to show you guys is how to align your text. So on a web page, right, we like things that are centered. We like to see kind of the different formats. So on this front one, let's say I want to center this. You're going to go inside the opening quote here. Now I'm going to give you guys a second. I don't know if I'm moving too quick or not. I'll give you guys like 10 seconds to get to where I'm at. Okay. Cool. So I'm going to be working with the H1 at the top. Oh, sorry. I lost what I'm looking for. Thanks for your patience. Feel free to play around with this. You can add more subheadings. Okay. Okay, cool. So we're going to be working with this top one. And inside the quotations, we are going, oh, before I do, hold on one second. Okay, so inside the quotation marks in our first one, we are going to add text alignment. So I'm going to write text align, text hyphen align inside that first tag. So where we were with the color, we're going to be writing it before this. You could do it after it. It's up to you. And I'm going to put a colon, and I'm going to say where I want my text to be aligned. Do I want it on the left, the center, or the right? I want it in the center for this one. However, because we have two things here in our quotation marks, we have text alignment and we have color, I need to separate those with a semicolon. So by doing that, the semicolon tells the computer there's a few things in these quotation marks that you need to read, and we separate it with a semicolon. So now you can see that that aligned to the center. So feel free to go through, align it to the left, right, center, you know, on these different headers or paragraphs. It's up to you. So maybe I want swimming to be aligned to the center. So again, I'll show you what it looks like if I were to do it after color. You can do that too. You just need to separate them with the semicolon. So text hyphen align colon center. If I wanted it to be on the right, I can align it to the right. If you don't have text align listed in your tag, it's just the computer is going to automatically left align it. So if you want it on the left, you can specify, but you don't have to. So feel free and go through and do any text alignments that you like. Cool. All right, so now that we have our website aligned, let's see. I want to find out if we have enough time. Let's see. For our support in the chat, do we have a lot of questions, or do we have time for me to teach them one more thing and then have some time for like 10 minutes of questions at the end? Cool. Okay, here we have time for one more thing. So let me show you guys one more, which is going to be how to change the font of your text. So if I want to change the font, again, we're working inside these quotation marks. The text alignment, the color, the font, these are all with the style. And so that's why we're working inside the style quotation marks. All of them are changing the style. So we have text alignment, semicolon, color is red. And then I'm going to do a semicolon one more time because, again, I'm adding one more element to change here, and that's going to be our font. Now, the property that we use for this is font family, and it has to be hyphenated because we can't have any spaces here in between font family. So font hyphen family, colon, and then you can, pick different fonts. We have, I'm trying to think, the computer might read Courier, like monospace, Arial. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones that I don't read. I think Impact maybe. So play around with it, see what different fonts it might read. Depending on what web browser you're on. There's some fonts that work on every web browser, like monospace, Arial, Courier, those work on every browser. If you want to try and find some fancier ones, like I think in the last code event we did, someone figured out that Wingdings works on their browser. So play around with it, see what ones you like. I'm going to stick with monospace for now because that is working. So I'm going to go with monospace. And then let's say I want to change my swimming, water polo, gymnastics. If I wanted to change those to a different font, I totally can. So I'm going to come down to the swimming one. Again, separate it with a semicolon. And then font hyphen family, colon. And let's say I wanted to do, let's see, Courier looks really similar. I'm going to do Impact. So you can see it changes that there. And then I'm going to make that the same on all of these so it looks nice and streamlined. So I'm going to make my font family Impact for swimming, water polo, and gymnastics. Font hyphen family, colon, Impact. So again, play around, find out the different fonts that you can do. These are all just, different lessons that we have in HTML. HTML, you can do all kinds of things, which is really exciting. But I really wanted to teach you guys just kind of these basic foundational lessons so that you can now walk away and say that you have built a website. So, give yourself a pat on the back. That's not always super, some people think it's not easy to do and you just did it. So great job there. I wish I could see some of your guys' websites. Feel free to take a picture of them or whatever it is you would like to do. But I believe you have these playground links for another 2 or 3 days. So if you're really interested by what you're doing, you can come back in, you can do the puzzles. We have some challenges that you can do. So I'm going to go back and show you guys. So you have a few more days. And on the platform, we have some challenges that students can do. So these ones are specific to what you guys have learned. So we learned some headers, paragraphs, text color, images. You can go through and there's challenges for you to do. And you can submit your code. We have an auto grader. So it'll give you like a green notification that says correct if you got it right. And if you didn't get it correct, if you have a bug somewhere in your code, it'll pop up with a little yellow hint to help you find that bug. So feel free to go through. These are awesome challenges. They're really fun to do. And again, you have the playground link for 3 more days. Okay, so yeah, I want to leave these last 10 minutes open for questions. We have one question. Are there any handouts for the class? We don't have any handouts in this session. I would recommend, if you have more questions or if you want any more materials or information, to visit Chrissy. She is going to be at the networking portion of this conference, or reach out to her. She's our area partnership. So feel free to reach out if you have an inkling to get more information. She's going to have that for you. Okay, another question. How would we get playground links for students? Good question. So we do with SkillsTruck, if you wanted to just have them explore this a little bit, we do have like code events that we can do with students. Although SkillsTruck isn't a free platform, we do have licenses. That's something that Chrissy is going to have more information on. So she'll be able to help you, you know, explore those options for your students. Okay, these are all really good questions, guys. I'm just now seeing them. Is there a cheat sheet for the HTML code? Yeah, so we can reach out with like a code sheet afterwards. That's something that I believe Chrissy or Sam, who are on these calls, will have for you. How can I tweet this session and my learning? Great question. I'm actually not too familiar with this. I don't know if Chrissy, do you have any insights to that? Oh, so we had a question that says, how can I tweet this session and my learning? I think that's awesome that you guys want to do that and share what you've learned. I don't know necessarily if this is, I don't know if this is like being recorded or how to tweet this. That might be a question that either Allison or Chrissy can answer. If you guys know, feel free to hop on and answer that question.
So it sounds like they'd like to actually include you and Chrissy in the hashtag. So do you guys have a Twitter account?
Go for it, Chrissy.
Oh, Bree, you're ahead. I was just going to pull mine up. So my Twitter is just weekly_K. That's mine. So I can put it in the chat for you all.
Yeah, and I don't have Twitter, so I maybe should hop on board with that. But SkillsTruck, our company, does have a Twitter account. We'll have our team members put that in the chat for you as well, if you'd like to tag them.
Awesome. Thanks, Bree. Yes, what we would love to, I know a lot of you have built your websites and followed along with Bree. You might have done something else besides Olympics. We would love for you to share those. Share those on social media, like throw your code, take a screenshot if you just want to do it that way of what you built and share that, and hashtag SkillsTruck. We would love to see, you know, what you've done. We didn't have the ability to allow everyone to share their screen on here, but we would love to see kind of some of the fun stuff you've built with Bree today. So yeah, if you want to share those, that would be a wonderful thing. Bree did an awesome job. Is there any other questions for us? How did you get into coding? Is that for Bree, Michelle?
I'll go ahead and answer that though. Yeah, so with coding, so I was an elementary school teacher for a few years, and I started seeing what kids could do with computer programming, and it was really inspiring. So now I'm working for SkillsTruck, helping kids learn to code. I think there's so many benefits to introducing it in the elementary space and giving them those opportunities. And it makes learning really engaging. They always have a really fun time with it. They're really motivated. So that's honestly how I got into coding, is I watched my kids do it and got inspired.
Yeah, and I also got into coding. I wanted to learn how to code, so I actually went through a coding boot camp and learned that way as well. Bree did a fantastic job. So thank you, Bree, for sharing that with us. But it's super simple. As you can see, with your playground. Play with it. Like it's easy to become a coder on the side, and it's easy to teach your students this as well. So that is super fun. For anyone that wants to know about pricing or how this looks for their school, feel free to reach out to me. You can chat me, or you can reach out. I can throw my email into the chat as well for you if you're wanting just to reach out to me. That's a really easy way to do that. But any other questions left? I think that's all we have. Allison, if you want to take over from here, thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much, Chrissy and Bree, for today's session, and the whole team who was online and answering questions for everybody. Really appreciate it. And before wrapping up, I'd like to point your attention to a couple of final items. We encourage you to provide presentation feedback through the form linked below this video. Also, handouts and resources can be found in the documents section. Be sure to claim your credit hours. This is the only way we can account for your full participation in this virtual format. Scroll to the bottom of the event page, select Claim My Credit, enter this exclusive code for credit accrual and points to get yourself on the leadership board and win great prizes. Your credit code for attending into HTML coding workshop for elementary educators is 780403. Again, that is 780403. And thank you again for being with us today.